You're listening to the Sales Chameleon Podcast. Smarter sales, stronger growth, simplified.
Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Sales Chameleon Podcast, where selling smarter starts. I'm your host, Heather Coggins, and today I'm going to be talking about yet another game changer in sales, and that is personalization. Now, I'm not just talking about dropping a customer's name in an email like, "Hey, Deb." No, what I'm talking about is truly tailoring the sales experience so that your prospects, your customers, the buyers that you're working with feel like that offer was truly built just for them. And when you're able to do that right, it is a conversion magnet. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So I want to go ahead and start off by talking a little bit more about why personalization matters. And if we're honest with ourselves, and even if we just kind of look internally, people as human beings just love feeling special. And so when a sales experience is customized specifically for them, they tend to be more engaged, they're going to tend to trust you more, and they typically tend to be way more likely to buy. And so if we look at studies that have been done, there's actually studies that show that 80% of consumers are more likely to purchase from a brand that is going to offer those personalized experiences. Now, there is a catch. Personalization, if you do it, which I do recommend that you do, it has to be done right. Okay, if you go too broad, it's going to feel just generic and it's not going to land. And on the flip end of that, if you go too specific, it can feel a little bit creepy, okay? So how do we end up essentially striking that perfect balance? Well, that's where consultative selling comes in. And so if you're out there, using the same one-size-fits-all approach and one-size-fits-all pitch to each of your prospects, your customers, you're going to be leaving money on the table. It's just plain and simple. So what I encourage you to do is, instead of using that one-size-fits-all approach, take the time to ask the right questions to really uncover what actually matters to your buyers, your prospects, your customers. So some of those questions can include things like, hey, what are your biggest pain points? What's the result of you not, finding a solution for that? What are your decision-making processes, and what solutions have you tried before? What have you liked about those? And, if there was anything that you could change about that previous solution, what would it look like, or what would it be? And when you ask questions in a way that's truly seeking to understand, especially understand their specific world, you're really able to craft a recommendation that's going to make sense for them versus only making sense for what you're trying to sell. And so if we take it a little bit, a step further, and we start layering in versatile selling, that kind of adds a different layer onto it as far as helping you achieve even more success within these conversations. And so if you've been listening for a little bit, you know that versatility is really all about adapting your communication style to fit your buyer and your prospect. So you're going to have those buyers that want details, they want that logic and data before they're able to feel comfortable making a decision. And then you're going to have other prospects and buyers that just want the big picture. They want this, enthusiasm, this excitement, and all these big grandiose possibilities. And so if you're not adjusting to them or to their styles based on how they prefer to communicate and be influenced, you're going to risk losing them. And so if we look at, a fast-moving, big idea thinker, they're not going to want to sit through those slow, detail-heavy pitches, okay? Meanwhile, on the flip side of that, a skeptical, more analytical buyer, they're not going to be won over by that hype and all of those emotions, okay? They're going to need more of that data, details, and logical information to feel comfortable. And so when you tailor your message both to what they need and how they process information, you really make it so much easier for them to say yes to your solution. And so if we kind of bring this together in more of a real world example. Let's just say you're selling a software solution and you have two very different buyers. So your first buyer is, that high energy visionary leader who's really all about innovation. They don't want to hear every technical detail. They just want to know how this is going to revolutionize their business. Meanwhile, buyer two is more of that methodical, detail-oriented buyer that I mentioned earlier, and they're really going to need that solid data to justify any investment. And so with that first buyer, you're going to want to focus on the big picture impact and how this software ultimately is going to drive growth and keep them ahead of the competition. So that part really hits home with revolutionizing their business. Now with buyer two, instead, you're going to want to lead with return on investment. You're going to want to provide some case studies to back that up, as well as a logical breakdown of how it works. So you can see here just from this example, you're selling the same product, but you're providing two completely different presentations based on that buyer's style, how they prefer to communicate and be influenced. And ultimately, that's how you blend personalization with versatility. And so how do you start using this right now? I'm going to provide you with 3 quick action steps to really set you up for success as you go out and start practicing this. And the first is listen more than you talk, okay? Ask the right questions, dig into their needs, as I mentioned earlier, and then just stop and listen. Let them talk, let them share, ask clarifying questions when you need to, and then tailor your pitch accordingly, okay? Secondly, match their communication style. Are they direct and data-driven, or are they more casual and relational? Wherever they land, within kind of that social style matrix, make sure that you're identifying their communication style, you're reflecting on what they need in order to feel comfortable, and then you're adapting your approach accordingly. And then third, offer true customization. So whether it's product recommendations, payment plans, or implementation strategies, make sure that you are finding ways to make it feel tailor-made for your prospects and your customers. At the end of the day, when you're able to master personalization and versatility and kind of combine those skills, you're not just a salesperson, you really become that trusted advisor that your prospects and customers not only want to buy from that one time, but they want to keep coming back and they want to send you that referral business as well. And so that's going to do it for today's episode. If you found this valuable, please hit the like button, give it a 5-star rating, share it with someone who you think would find this helpful. And as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Get out there, personalize your approach, close those deals, and until next time, keep selling smarter, stay versatile, and I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Sales Chameleon Podcast.